Hello legends, welcome back to another Jeff Ed session with Coach Adrian. We're in the kitchen again and we are running through some breakfast options today. So we've done a couple Jeff Eds looking at some meal prep lunch, and lots of you were asking for some breakfast ideas. So that's what I'm going to give you today. We're going to go through a few things, chat about some breakfast prep, and I'm going to give you two ideas that'll give you a bit of a base that you can add various variations on, different flavors, but at the end of the day, making sure it's balanced and it's ticking our box of protein, fiber, and fat, the three things that we want in every breakfast. Remember to check in, get your Jeff Ed dot on the board for the app. Obviously, everything counts, guys. Make sure you're getting it. I'm going to load up who's here, and we'll chat for a few minutes and see how you guys are all doing. Let me know who's here. Say hello and check in. Nikki Eagleston, I can always bank on you. I think you're always going to be one of the first to say, how's it? Thanks for joining us. Kim Ketley as well, another. Caitlin, hello. Super excited for breakfast prep. It's Monday, so it's a good time to do it. Something you can hopefully carry you through for the rest of the week. Start doing on Sundays for your weekly prep. And so things that are going to be super easy, super simple, and each of them will last a couple of days in the fridge. All right. Nicole, hello. Liza, you've got a late patient, so what better way to pass the time and get started? Say hello when your patient arrives. Go do your thing, and we'll see you later. Obviously, remember, guys, everything's on the page. You can always look back, and on the app, it'll be in the sort of history, so you can always check it out. Andrew's looking for some inspiration. Deborah, hello. Alrita, hello. Tamara's here. Fantastic. Who's running like a racing snake. Loving it. Karen Stravos, hello. She's looking forward to some cool ideas. Tali Romberg needs some ideas. I think breakfast is one of those things. We don't need a lot of variety, but often we just need a couple ideas, some new things, give us a little bit of inspiration, and hopefully this will do that. So it'll give you the base. I'm going to show you two flavor variations, and then you can kind of go wild with it, which is quite nice. Michelle Rogers has swiped. Well done. Picking up a dot. Samantha's looking forward to this. Cool. Larissa, hello. Samantha Engels swiping in. Fantastic, guys. Are you loving the new app? I hope so. And there's so much coming. Spent the last kind of week filming a whole bunch of things for you. So both the Jeff members and a little bit more for our one-on-one, all sorts of recipes and tools and infographics and all sorts. So hopefully you're going to get even more value than you already are. Mary Jane, hello. Susan Muirhead, ready to learn. Cool. Send some questions, guys, as we go along. If there's anything you want to find out a little bit more about, feel free to ask me anything. Obviously, breakfast is our topic today. And before we get into it, one of the things, and our one-on-one clients will know this from the programs that they're all on, where we quite often go wrong with breakfast is not getting some protein into it. So historically, it's always been, high energy, pretty much carbohydrate based. Cereals came on the scene and everything became quite high sugar as well. And along the way, we lost a bit of protein in breakfast. And strongly believe that we need to try and get a little bit more balance into breakfast. And protein is one of the ways to kind of change that, get the protein and get the fiber and get some fat, and you've got a balanced meal. So for a lot of us, it's, when we're looking for some improvements, it's a place to spend a little bit of effort trying to get some protein-rich foods in there. It could be dairy, it could be veg-based, it could be, even a little bit of leftovers from the night before. Something that can get some good protein in is always going to start your day off a little bit better. All right, so as we go, I'll do a few of these sort of breakfast options. I'm going to show you we're using some dairy and some protein powder as an option, just, if you want a quick and easy way to do it. But I'm a super fan of getting dairy as a good quality protein into breakfast. Eggs would be another one, super simple. So I think we'll do a couple egg sessions. There's so much we can do in that space. So it's a nice way to get some inspiration and ideas. All right, so two things I'm going to do. The first is overnight oats. the most simple way to make sure that you've got a breakfast ready. You can prep it the day before and it will last 3 or 4 days in the fridge. And you can vary it up so many different ways by changing flavors, adding different things. You can have it cold, you can heat it up in the microwave for 30 seconds, so you can have it warm, and it's fantastic. Overnight oats is really just a way of soaking oats in a milk and yogurt mix overnight. It actually also improves digestion. So it starts to break down some of the sort of anti-nutrients, things that some of us might struggle with if we have a bowl of oats and feel a little bit of bloating, things that are almost fermented a little bit but helps to pre-digest it. You can get a better tolerance to it. So it's a nice way to kind of go about it. And mine that I'm doing here for you is my carrot cake overnight oats. So who doesn't love a little bit of carrot cake? So we're going to get a little bit of veg into this, which is cool. We're going to get some traditional flavors. There's going to be a little bit of lemon, there's a cinnamon, a little bit of sweetness, but it's nicely balanced and a cool way to start. But flavors, you can go anywhere with it. All right. So quite simple. What we're going to do, the basis of overnight oats, I'm going to move over to the ingredients, is having equal parts oats, milk of any kind, and yogurt. So you can keep it dairy-free, but if you go for dairy-free alternatives, you're not going to get any protein out of them. So I've used almond milk here. It's obviously dairy-free. I'm going to fortify it with a little bit of pea protein. You can use some whey protein. You can use some any sort of protein powder. This is unflavored, but if you want a flavor profile in there, you can. Vanilla would work well on this one. And yogurt. So I've got half a cup of oats, half a cup of milk, and half a cup of yogurt. That's pretty much the start of it. We mix that all together, and then you're going to add our flavors into it. So this is where you can go wild. Stick to that. Make sure you've got equal parts oats, milk, or any fluid really, and yogurt. And then flavors is where you're going to kind of bang it out. Okay. On the oats, rolled oats is going to work better. You're going to get a better consistency out of it. So these are just sort of those old-fashioned rolled oats that you'll see. Nice big flakes. Quick cooking ones are fine. They might just, they'll give you a little bit more of a jelly kind of overnight oats the next day. You can use steel cut as well, which is great. Slightly higher fiber content, which is quite cool. Any of those. You can also do this with other grains. So, I've tried it with some quinoa and it sort of works. So you can play around with that. You can use rolled rice flakes if you want something gluten-free. Obviously, oats are gluten-free when they milled properly and processed properly. Most of them are just packed in a factory where other gluten products are packed, so there's contamination. So oats by themselves are gluten-free. So vary it up based on what your sort of needs are. Okay, so simply what we're going to do is mix our yogurt. What you can do as well, so we've got equal parts yogurt and equal parts milk, is with that, you can make a few of these. So if you've got a couple bottles around, just do that. So you've got a cup, really, because it's half a cup of each. And in there, you can flavor that up in all sorts of ways. So in this instance, I'm using a little bit of protein powder to just get a bit more protein in because I used almond milk. So my pea protein powder is going to go in there. If you had your favorite sort of chocolate protein or vanilla protein, that's fine. Either of those will work. And what you can do is flavor it up with some, if you're looking for a little bit more flavor, we can go things like apple juice. We've got juice from all sorts of things that we've tried. Beetroot works quite nicely. Beetroot and cocoa, you can get nice sort of flavored milk. So if you've got a flavored liquid, that's going to be the base of it. So you've got a cup of that with a little bit of yogurt. Okay, so nice protein source. It all comes from there. So let's call this our protein milk. Yogurt's bit of protein powder and milk is in there, and you can flavor that up if you want. So there's a cup of that, and half a cup of our rolled oats that I'll pop in there with it. Okay, depending on your goals, and if you're on our one-on-one program, you might get 2 servings out of that. We're just going to mix it up nicely. That'll give you 1 good sort of solid serving if you're looking for something a little bit bigger. Otherwise, you know, if you're only looking for, if you're on our sort of programs and needing 1 starch portion, you'll need to halve that. So you should get 2 from this. We're also going to add a little bit of carrots and dried fruit. So altogether, it's going to be a nice sort of nutrient dense option. Okay, so that's the base of it. What then happens overnight? It's going to thicken. It should be nice and liquidy now. You're going to stick that in the fridge. So you do it the night before, and tomorrow morning it's going to be kind of ready to go. What you do is you just flavor it with anything that you want to pop in there. So to make this carrot cake, I've got 50 grams of carrots. I'm a big fan of any way that we can get veg into breakfast. Okay, so oats doesn't often work like that, although there's lots of nice savory ways you can go about getting your oats in. But we've got the carrots in there. There's 50 grams of carrots. All right. And I'm going to give a pinch of cinnamon, because cinnamon's great. Not afraid of that. Okay, some classic flavors. For a little bit of tartness, a squeeze of some lemon. And for my fat content, I've got walnuts, one of my favorite nuts, and a little bit of sweetness. There's not a lot of sweetness in here. If you've used a protein powder or something that's got sweetener in it, that's fine. You could also just use a little drizzle of honey or something. I'm going to pop those in. Okay, and my nuts. So you're going to have some great texture. Smells nice. Got the cinnamon, and that's cool. Right, you can, this is just in my NutriBullet thing, but you know me and mason jars. So all just goes in there, and we are done. That's not the easiest thing you've ever done for breakfast. I don't know. So apart from putting a slice of toast in the toaster. Beautiful. So overnight, that is going to thicken up. And in the morning, have it cold or pop it in the microwave for 30 seconds. If you need to add, if it's a little bit stodgy in the morning, that's cool. Just add a little bit more of your milk or some water or almond milk or whatever you used, and just get it to the consistency that you like. But that's going to almost sort of, the acid from the lemon juice and from the yogurt is going to pre-cook the oats a little bit overnight. So it's going to be ready to go. It won't be like eating raw oats in the morning. And it's going to be fantastic. So make 3 or 4 of those, and they will last 3 or 4 days in the fridge. And you can vary it up. So once you've done your oat base, you can change your flavors. So various things work nicely. I don't know if you guys have done some overnight oats. Let me know what you've tried and what works wonderfully. That's just a super simple way to get one of them done. Erna says she normally adds chia seeds. I do as well. I'm just keeping them for the next recipe. But chia goes in there as well. You might just need a little bit more liquid because the chia soaks it up nicely, like I'll show you in the next one. But chia is fantastic. It adds like a little gel consistency to it, which is awesome. Deborah wants to know, can you use full cream yogurt instead of low fat? And if so, do you need to adjust the other fat in your meal? All depends on your goals. Right? So if you're not too worried about keeping fat low, full cream is okay. If you know me, I'll always tell you to stay away from double cream yogurts. I don't really understand it, adding cream to full cream. So it's full fat plus extra cream. Doesn't really make sense to me. So full cream, you get all the texture and all the sort of health benefits of dairy fats, which is great. So if it fits in with your goals, that's fine. Otherwise, you, for example, might not add the walnuts because you don't want the extra fat from there. So you can balance it out depending on what you sort of need. Okay. If you can find some proper Greek yogurt, it's even better. You're going to get more protein from it. So Greek yogurt's really just strained. you can make your own at home by getting your yogurt and sending it through a cheesecloth sort of overnight. Just let some of the extra whey sort of filter out, and you're going to have a nice sort of strong protein-rich yogurt, which is fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to catch up on some questions quickly. Sinette flavors of oats with chai tea. I've done it as well. It is really nice. So that liquid, great way. Put a chai tea bag in there, or a chai tea mix, and your milk, you kind of make a chai latte almost, and you'll get a nice spicy mix. You can get all those beautiful flavors. So in the winter, it's going to be fantastic. It'll be a super one. Megan, Chia Seeds, Sinette, oat bran. So if you want a little bit more fiber, this is packed with fiber. I'm going to give you, I ran it through my little analysis thing like a geek. Per serving, you're going to get about 10 grams of fiber. So it's a pretty good whack. If you wanted a little bit more, you could add a bit of oat bran, or if you wanted to go sort of less oats and more oat bran, you can do that. So less carbs, but more fiber. You can play around with it. Kirsty asked about specific oats, so I gave you that one. Rolled oats is going to work best. All right. Pecan nuts, coconut milk. Yeah, so you can use coconut milk. That'll obviously then add to your fat components in the meal. So just see how it works. The next sort of example of it isn't oats. I'm using chia seeds, and it's a coconut chia pot, which is fantastic. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that one. Nicole missed the first few ingredients. So recap: the base of overnight oats, half a cup oats, half a cup milk, half a cup yogurt. All right. Your milk you can flavor up any way that you want to as well. We kept it plain in this one. We mentioned about the chai tea, but you could make it cocoa. Coffee is really great. There's a coffee one that I often do for myself. I love a little coffee kick in the morning. So coffee overnight oats, fantastic as well. So you can play around with that. You can get some fruit juices or vegetable juices in there to play around. So go wild. You get all sorts of flavors in there. Half a cup of each. Then you add your flavor components. So in this case, we're doing the carrot cake. So it's carrots, lemon juice, and some walnuts and cranberries. So if ticking the boxes, everything's in there. Protein, fiber, fat. You'll hear that from me a lot. That's the balance of it all. Annie wants to know if you can put dates in. Perfect. So dried fruit works really nicely in your overnight oats. So whatever you want it to be, you could do some sultanas or raisins. Obviously, I used cranberries. Goji berries would work. Dates would work. Those are all fine. Cool. Megan James wants to know how much pea protein. So I just put 10 grams in it. So get about 8 grams of extra protein from that. So about almost a tablespoon. So big heaped teaspoon. And just balances it out a little bit more. Sinette wants to know if these recipes will be available on the app. So we're adding all sorts of cool content in there. So this one will be there as a video. I can just add it as a note for you guys. Add a little cool recipe. Obviously, with our cook togethers, all the recipes are there. Our Jeff Eds, we'll just add them after the fact. Samantha likes adding peanut butter. Cool. So there's another way to get your source of fat in there. Perfect. Karen wants to know about almond milk. So I used almond milk in my example. I just like sort of the flavor of it, and personally keep sort of milk intake down slightly. So almond milk works fine, but you do lose out on some protein. So that's why I added the pea protein with it. All right, let me catch up quickly. The carrots are a starch. Yes. So if you're on our one-on-one program, 100 grams of carrots is your one portion. So by adding 50 grams in here, I got another half a portion. So this serving is going to be about two breakfasts worth, which is cool. All right, cool. Everyone happy? Hopefully I haven't missed many questions. There we go. All right, so next one I want to show you is my chia seed coconut. Well, it's called a tropical chia seed coconut pot. You've seen so it's already starting to thicken. You can kind of see it's a little wobbly. Lid on that, and it's just going to go in the fridge overnight. And I'm sorted with breakfast. Okay, let's move the other ingredients into shots. Okay. Now on this option, what I'm going to show you, it's a lower carb version. It's fairly high in fiber. This is a good whack. Everything here has got a little bit of fiber in it really. And we're using chia seeds as the base for it. So slightly higher in fat, but it balances out the way we kind of put everything together here. All right. So chia seeds, I've got 25 grams. Goes quite a long way. 25 grams of chia seeds. I've used some light coconut milk. So that's my coconut milk, light. So much lower in fat than obviously regular coconut milk or coconut cream. So you can use a little bit more of it to get sort of the flavor that you're looking for, get enough liquid in. I've used 100 mils of that, and then I've topped it up with 50 mils of unsweetened almond milk. So not many calories come from unsweetened almond milk, so I can get a bit more fluid in there. You can just use water if you like, but 150 mils of liquid, and in this case it's coconut milk and almond milk, and then 25 grams of chia seeds. Now what happens is the chia goes into the liquid and it forms this lovely sort of gel-like consistency, and it's going to thicken. You don't need to do it overnight. I did one most probably 20 minutes ago. It's in the fridge, and I'll show you. I think looks like it's almost set, but super simple. All that happens is chia seeds into your mix, and I'm using a drizzle of vanilla essence because it's nice, and just give it a little mix around. Okay. Right, in there, the one that I did in the fridge, I also added another 10 grams of protein powder just to get it up and give it a little bit of sweetness as well. So I used the vanilla one. I just didn't put it out for the example here when I redid it. At the moment, there's no source of protein in that meal. So in there, 150 mils of coconut milk and almond milk, 10 grams of some protein powder. Most of the protein here is going to come from chia seeds. So they're a seed, or they're not really a seed, but they're called chia seeds. So most of the protein is going to come from there. They're also a good source of omega-3 fats, which is fantastic. So they're a plant source of that, which in a plant-based diet, otherwise you might struggle to get in. And a very, very good source of fiber. So quite a lot going in just from using those seeds. I just wanted to top it up slightly, so added a little bit more. If you're using regular milk, that's cool because you'll get your protein from that. I'm not, so that's why we're doing it this way. Okay. Samantha, let me just catch a couple of questions. Protein powders, yeah, so Daniela, I'm going to do a little session on supplements and all sorts of things that we'll get to. Recommendations for pea protein, to be honest, the one I use, I like the unflavored. Resugals do a good protein, but I just use plain, that's just choice. So there's no flavor in that because I use it for quite a few things that I don't want a flavor in. You would have seen some of our, the bunny chow that we did, getting into bread to fortify bread a little bit better. There's a protein pizza base that I do using some pea protein powder. So it goes a long way because it's unflavored. It's a pretty good sort of quality one. So that one's fine. Nikki says she can't hear me. Is anyone else having some trouble? Just let me know, please. Yeah, you can get them in most stores in the health section. You don't need to boil the milk first. The coconut milk, when it comes, it's not something that needs to be cooked before you consume it, so you can just use it like that. Hit it twice. The amount of chia seeds was 25 grams. Okay, everyone was on that. You don't have to pre-soak them. They are going to soak now. And I'll show you what they kind of look like. Thanks. Megan, can you hear me? Cool. So that's all that went in there. You can see it. All right. So chia seeds at the bottom. We've got our milk, a bit of protein powder, and then there is some vanilla essence. So it smells fantastic. It smells like summer, even though it's not. All right. Then what I've got for the topping here, just a couple coconut flakes to keep it coconutty. Those dried cranberries, goji berries would work really nicely here as well. And then I've got some kiwi fruit. All right, so kiwi fruit, fantastic in winter. It's coming to season with them. Super source of vitamin C. So great way to get it in. And they look really nice and they taste great as well. The other protein that we can fortify this with would be some collagen, would be a really nice one. Collagen and vitamin C go hand in hand for soft tissue repair, rebuilding sort of ligaments, for skin health. So it's a nice way to get a source of protein in. You can use a collagen. It'll dissolve quite nicely in there, and that with your vitamin C will give you a good little kind of breakfast, particularly if you're going to exercise afterwards, as a kind of food-based pre-workout, because all the things that are in collagen and the vitamin C will help your soft tissue repair. So something that we do with some athletes, try to get some collagen and vitamin C before training to help strengthen and repair soft tissue. You guys have learned something. Mimsy wants to know if you taste the protein powder. So it just depends what one you use. You can get an unflavored one, or you can get a flavored option, and that's fine. Cool, sounds back. Thanks. Candice can hear me as well. All right, cool. So I want to show you the one that's going to come off first. Okay, it's not quite ready yet. But it starts to form. Let me see if you can see this. You can see how solid that is. You're going to give it another 20 minutes and it will be solid. So if you see, we've got the very milky one. And then one that's, you can see how these have all swelled up so nicely. The longer you leave it, the more liquid it's just going to soak in there. There's quite a nice drink that you can also make with chia seeds, esquiate, which I don't know if anyone's read Born to Run. It got popular from that with the Tarahumara tribe in South America, and it was what they used and ran forever, and became a bit of a craze in sort of the endurance running world, which is chia seeds, lime juice, honey, water, and it thickens up into this very gel-like drink, which is very refreshing. So one to kind of have a look out for and give a bang with. Michelle wants to know, can you have a collagen breakfast oats after training? I'm not an early morning eater. Yeah, so the whole conversation around when you eat and training is really based on your tolerance. We do prefer, if you're doing some really high intensity work, that you eat something beforehand, if it is going to go on a little bit longer, mainly if that's going to allow you to train harder. So when you're doing high intensity, your body wants a bit of carbohydrates. If you wake up in the morning and don't have anything, your last meal was the night before, you might just struggle to get through the session. But if you don't, that's fine. Otherwise, liquids are easier to kind of digest and just top up so that you can get better quality out of your training. And then this would become sort of your post-exercise recovery. So tolerance and the goal of your session are the two things that always guide when and how you eat around it. What's going to make you train harder, and what are you going to feel good after eating? Right, and sometimes you just need to play around with when that happens. We find quite often, and I think a lot of it, there are two things. One, people don't feel that hungry in the morning, which is okay, unless the goal of the session is to get the most out of it, and it's performance based, or you've got a race or whatever it is, and you need to try and eat before that. You've got to practice it so that your body gets accustomed to it. And you can play around with, so I said, like liquids, smoothies, they will digest a little bit quicker than having something that's got fiber, fat, and protein. Those don't suit what you want to eat before training. You're just looking for some carbohydrate, really. And the myth of kind of burning more fat because you're training fasted all the time doesn't really hold much water in terms of weight loss. Yes, it might improve some of your endurance markers and cardio sort of capacities, but for I think many of us, it's not a primary goal. Whether you're going to lose weight is based on how much food you eat more than kind of when you eat it. All right, so base it off your tolerance, but if it is an important session, And quite often we find people who training fasted too often start to pay the price sort of later down the line, particularly if it's a lot of high intensity training. And what happens is you might not get your recovery meal right, and 3-4 o'clock that afternoon you're starving, or if you're doing, maybe later at night you're starving because you haven't eaten well around your primary training session of the day, the primary stimulus, and it means you're making poor choices elsewhere. So if you can do something well earlier, it often makes later in the day easier as well. All right. Some people who struggle with sort of commonly breaking down injuries, colds and flus, immune function, all of these things take a knock if we do a lot of fasted training. So there's quite a bit of downside to doing too much of it. Okay. All right, so catch up on the last few questions. Michelle says, always been used to training on intermittent fasting, so getting used to eating 3 times a day is hugely tough for her. So in my opinion, intermittent fasting and training don't go hand in hand, because you're always getting worse or poorer quality training, because you're always in a fasted state. And there's a lot of downside from immune function, from an injury point of view, from hunger and blood sugar control later in the day. So people who do intermittent fast, I'd rather say we do it away from training. And so if you're training in the morning, you might just move your dinner earlier so that your window is a little bit longer, but you're eating closer to your training session, so that you can get a bit better response. All right, cool. So once that thickens, so that's what you're doing. Again, with this, you can flavor it up nicely. Any liquid with your chia seeds would work quite well. It might not hold what I want to do next because it's not thickened just yet. But once it's thickened, you top it with your topping. So it's going to hopefully look quite nice. We've got our chia seeds, and in there, they're sinking a little bit, but it also doesn't matter. Got our kiwi fruit. In summer, some mango would go really nicely in here. Got a little bit of texture from our coconut, and from whatever dried fruits, cranberries or goji berries would work quite well. Okay, and that thicken up beautifully. Okay, so there we've got our tropical chia pot, which is just topped with a little bit of kiwi fruits and some dried fruits, some dried cranberries, and some shaved coconuts. It'll form a nice little gel, and that again you can make it the day before, come out the fridge and the next day. You can do it as a little treats kind of pudding, and it'll work quite nicely sort of as a better option to what might be another dessert. It'll work quite well as a snack as well, but suitable for breakfast. So play around with that. You've got the base, 25 grams chia seeds, 150 mils of whatever fluid you want to use. Try and get a little bit of extra protein in there. And then you can top it with some flavors and anything that you want. So you've got one version with your oats that'll work quite nicely. You've got the base, you can play with the flavors around it. And you've got another with chia seeds, that's slightly lower carb, depending on what you top it with. And you can play around with your flavors again. So through the week, you can do 2 or 3 of each of them, stick them in the fridge, and you know that you're going to be sorted from Monday to Friday, because most of the time the day gets in the way. We get up, we want to get a training session, and we forget about breakfast. We're in the car and we're on our way to work, and we haven't paid enough attention to what we're doing. So get some bankers, put it in there so you know that it's taken care of, and you can always just pop it out the next morning. All right. Okay, Larissa has also been a challenge on the one-on-one, eating 3 proper meals a day. So what we're trying to do is get some structure, starting the day with your breakfast, having lunch and dinner so that we get a better distribution through the day. One of our approaches is trying to split it up so that you've got protein at each, instead of what commonly happens is it all happens at dinner and we miss an opportunity at lunch and at breakfast to help our body, to fuel it, to nourish it properly. So what we've done is just taken what might be just a little less food and split it up over the 3 days, over the 3 meals, so that you get into that routine of it. Better from a recovery point of view, better from a health point of view, from a blood sugar management. So we try and have 3 mini meals as opposed to one that's maybe non-existent, a small lunch and then a big dinner. So we're trying to turn that on its head a little bit. All right. Gerard can't survive without his daily coffee fix. So it's a great thing to get in here. Nice way to flavor up your overnight oats. I haven't tried it with the chia seeds, but it's a good way to maybe double up. Right. Megan's such a morning person. She doesn't need it. Just love it. Cool. So, guys, hopefully giving you a couple ideas around some breakfasts. Overnight oats and a chia pot, and you can flavor it up however you want. Try to start the day. It's something you can prep in advance, which is always going to be a great help, and balance it out. Make sure there's a source of protein in there, either from your dairy or if you need to fortify it with something that's fine. Nuts and seeds will add a little bit as well, so at least that's there. There's fiber from my oats. That'll give us some fiber. I've got some veg in there. There's more fiber with that. A little bit of nuts, some fiber in there, and our chia seeds themselves are also packed. So we tick the protein box, we tick the fiber box, and a little bit of healthy fat from the chia seeds and the nuts and the 2 different options. So remind yourself that when you're building a meal, when you're trying to evaluate it, make sure you've got each of those components there, and then the portions will just base off your goals, okay, or your program if you're on the one-on-one. All right, cool. Everyone seems pretty good. There we go. Cool, guys. So it's been fun with you again. Remember, this week is all about Christmas. So there's loads of cool things going on. Keep active on our page. See some of the giveaways that are coming through. There's some cool swag going out today. On Wednesday, Jono is going to be in the hot seat. And then Friday night, we're building up to an awesome Christmas in July dinner. That you can check more out once we post that, but we're adding a little beautiful pudding because we can, part of your day and a half. So work hard this week, get stuck in, collect your dots. If you haven't signed up yet for Jeff membership, make sure you do. Get all of this super value, $200 a month. If you've got any questions and things you kind of want to see on these ed sessions, there's loads in the pipeline. But the more ideas, the better. So I think we'll do breakfast for a few of these so that we can build some good habits, start our days well, support our training a little bit better, and help us all move forward. Some ideas around breakfasts are going to be fun. And from there, we'll keep on building because you guys ask. So feel free to drop me a line. It's been loads of fun. And I'll answer any other questions I might have missed, but DM me as well. And I'm going to be there. All right. Have a cool Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Start the week well. Onward and upward from here, guys. See you later.